Welcome. I'm Siwa Pili Rose Amador Laveau, and this is Native Voice TV. Well, my guest today is Val Lopez. He is chairman of the Amah Mutsun Tribal Band.
Tribal Band, and I had asked him to come to update us on a lot of projects he's working on. And tell us, Val. What are you working on now? And give us an update on some of the things you talked about on the last show.
Okay.
Well, first I want to say thank you to Native Voice again for inviting and welcoming me here. Thank you very much, Rose. And our tribe is very active, as you know. And first of all, our tribe is comprised of the descendants of the indigenous people that were taken to Mission San Juan Bautista in Santa Cruz. Currently, our tribe is pretty involved in a number of things. Number one is trying to protect our most sacred site. Our most sacred mountain is at the very south end of Gilroy.
So that is in Santa Clara County then, right?
That is in Santa Clara County. And it's also at the very tail end of the Santa Cruz Mountains. And there's a ranch there that is known today as Sergeant Ranch. But to our people, it's known as Juristac. And Juristac translates to the place of the big head. And that's where our big head dances, excuse me. And that's where we held our big head dances. And our big head dances were our most important and most sacred dances and such. And that's a very important sacred site. And we had 4 villages.
Is that a ceremonial dance?
The big head, it's a type of dance.
Okay.
Yes, it is a type of dance.
Okay.
And we had 4 villages there at Juristac as well, and they were to ensure that the grounds were, that the area was maintained as sacred, and to also to take care of the environment there regarding the water, the plants, the wildlife, etc. Today, it's recognized as an important wildlife corridor. And that corridor is from the Santa Cruz Mountains south to the Gabalan Mountains and also west to the Diablo Range. So it's a very important wildlife corridor. In 2015, a person submitted an application to do sand and gravel mining of our most sacred site and to basically strip mine 4 sacred mountains. And so since that time, we've been fighting very hard to prevent that mining permit from being approved.
What's the status of it right now?
Yes, the mining permit is, they're doing the draft EIR now, and they've been working on this for a year and a half, 2 years. And we requested consulting under AB 52. And under AB 52, we requested that there be an ethnographic study, which was completed. And it will show Juristac as a very important and sacred site to the Amah Mutsun. But now, the county regulations allow this permit to be approved.
The county approved the permit?
Well, it hasn't been approved yet. They're going to release the draft EIR probably towards the end of the year or early next year. And then there's a chance for public comment. So we would like all the viewers on this program now to comment on that and say that Native American spirituality must be, protected and recognized on equal to all the other religions. If this was a Mormon or Catholic or Jewish or any other religion, they would not even consider doing this mining permit. But because we're federally unrecognized, they think that they can, that our territories aren't important and are protected, which is basically, for them, not protected is true. So the only thing that's going to stop this mine is overwhelming public support.
So
so that's what we're asking for.
We'll put the site that they can go to get more information to where to send the letters, right?
Yes. Okay. We have a website dedicated to this, and that's protectjuristac.org.
Okay.
And there they have a petition. We ask everyone to please sign the petition. We also ask for letters of support, and we tell you where to mail them. And we have a lot of sample letters there.
Oh, good.
And then you can check a box to stay updated for this, because we're going to start having public support events coming up in the near future.
I hope we have something over here in Santa Clara County, maybe at the Board of Supervisors.
We absolutely will.
Good.
Yeah, there's going to be 2 votes here. One vote is going to be before the planning commissioners,
Okay.
and then they'll make a recommendation to the County Board of Supervisors, and then that'll be the second meeting that they'll have that we're going to ask the public to show up to as well.
Oh, good. Okay. Will that happen this year?
No, it'll be next year.
Next year.
We're quite sure of that.
So we can have masses out there, because right now with COVID, and actually one of the things for our viewers, we're both vaccinated, and I would encourage you to be vaccinated like we are, but that's why we don't have the screen between us or our masks on today, because we are both vaccinated. So yes, I would encourage all people, especially Native people, because the COVID has affected so many of our people on the different reservations and in urban areas.
And within our tribe as well. It's been pretty devastating to our tribe. So we join you in calling for all people to get vaccinated.
And I was vaccinated at the Indian Health Center here in Santa Clara County, and I know they vaccinated a lot of the Native people in the county here, so it's a great thing.
And many of our members went to the center here.
Oh, good.
And then the one in Oakland as well, and then the one, of course, in the
Right, they're doing
Fresno.
a great job. We're going to be vaccinating people here at Conexion too in a couple of weeks, so yeah, I would encourage everyone to get vaccinated.
Absolutely, thank you for that.
So, you were saying that they're going to be doing rallies and so forth. I wanted to ask you about the mission bells. I know that's a project you've worked on, and you were successful in getting one or more of the mission bells removed. Can you tell me about that?
Well, first of all, those mission bells are erected on highway, on what they call the El Camino Real, and it's kind of another example of total destruction and domination. Those that El Camino Real is actually built on a very important indigenous trade route. All the major highways are built on important indigenous trade routes. And so, but whenever they come, our people used it for thousands and thousands of years, these trade routes, but they come in and they call it El Camino Real, the highway of the king, and that again is destroying our identity and our culture and our people who lived here before and such like that. So that's just devastating. But but in the early 1900s, 1902 or thereabouts, it was decided they would put a mission bell at approximately 1 mile north and south on what is now known as Highway 101. And those mission bells are still standing there. And for us, that's just a constant memory, a reminder rather, of the history, that brutal history of the mission that sought to destroy our spirituality, our culture, our environments, our indigenous knowledge, and our humanity. And and it's time for that constant reminder at every 1 mile mark on the highway to be removed. Because that is a false history, that is a brutal history that should never be recognized as something that is grand or glorious or honorable. It included genocide, and it included rape, it included whippings, slavery, incarceration, and death.
Right.
And so why is that being honored in the state of California? And they have to recognize that. And so we found, we do a lot with UC Santa Cruz, since we had the connection to Santa Cruz. And there was a mission bell on campus, so we worked with the administration there, requesting the bell be removed, and it was removed. It was removed last year, I believe, perhaps the year before. And the city of Santa Cruz had 2 mission bells there. And so we were working with the city to request that those 2 be removed. But last year when they started taking down the statues and stuff like that, someone took the mission bell, and we were, and we don't know who it was. You know, personally, we say thank you, but but we don't want to know who it is because we want to have that deniability, you know. But we do say thank you to them, and then the third bell is. It's on public land, city property line, and we asked the city to remove that, and they approved it. They passed a resolution to remove the mission bell, and so we were looking for a date to have the mission bell removed, and that date is going to be August 28th, and that's a significant day because that is the date that Mission Santa Cruz was founded in 1791. So that'll be the 251st year anniversary.
Do you know how many there are in Santa Clara County? Well,
I really don't. Yeah, it'd be every mile, but then there are also a lot of them are on city properties, county properties, and others. Now we're saying they need to be removed. You know, I mean, we parallel this to the Confederate. Statues and stuff like that. I mean, it's just a brutal reminder of the colonizers, of those who dominated and destroyed the indigenous people, and that doesn't need to be honored.
Build the missions for them, slaves.
Absolutely.
And they died.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Mission San Juan Bautista, for example, just that mission alone. They sent, in 1823, the superiors of the mission system in Mexico City sent out a interrogatio, or a questionnaire or survey. And on that right there, one of the questions they asked, how many Indians have died at your mission? And the priest answered 19,421 Indians died at Mission San Juan Bautista. And there was still another 10 years to go before that mission closed. And so that's not a system that needs to be honored, and those mission bells need to be taken down, and we want the public to become aware of it. So we have that event planned in Santa Cruz. We're inviting the public to come and stand with us and say enough. It's time for the true history to be told. It's time for that brutality to be acknowledged. It's time to help the Native people heal from the truth, and to have the truth told about them, and at this, and that's what we're calling on there on that day. And then we're going to also ask that all the mission bells on Highway 101 and anywhere else on public property be removed.
That's wonderful. And then they put that Juniper Serra on the freeway, and
yes.
Did they take him down?
No, that on the 280 up north, no, it is still there, and the 280, I believe, is actually called the Juniper Serra Freeway. Oh my gosh. And so everywhere it's just that. And then it's it always bothered me that the kids in school had to build missions. Yeah.
And they glorified it.
Absolutely. And it's all lies. It's all lies. I mean, the person that wrote that book, an American American genocide, the catastrophe of the California Indians, his name is Benjamin Madley. He wrote a really impactful and powerful article on California missions being the first place of, and representing nothing but mass incarceration. And he put that in an article, and people can find that article online if they were to look for it. And that's an article that we highly recommend to find out what the missions were like there. So what I was going to say is the last Padre Presidente of the California mission system, his name was Mariano Payedes. When the missions were closing, he wrote to superiors in Mexico City and says, we need to find a way to explain what has happened here. All we have done was baptize the Indians, administer some sacraments, and bury the Indians. He says there's no more Indians left along the coast, and we are going to be judged harshly and with scorn. And so with that, they started developing the phony excuse or the lies or the alibi that the Indians came to the mission voluntarily. That wasn't true. That the Indians came to find God. That wasn't true. That they came to find a better life, that they came to learn agriculture, and on and on. And then whenever they were developing the school curriculum, they wanted to tell the mission history. Who do they go ask? They go ask the Franciscan priests, and they don't ask the indigenous people, and that's what we have to live. We've been living with that false history for 200 years now.
No, it was my understanding that, like at San Juan Bautista, at the mission, they have some Indians buried there, but those were only the ones who accepted the religion. Is that true? The ones who wouldn't, they...
Absolutely true, and that's been true probably throughout time, that to be buried in a Catholic cemetery, you must be Catholic, and that meant for the Indians, they must have been you had to have been baptized to be buried in that mission cemetery. And so, if 19,421 Indians died in San Juan Bautista, but there's only 3,400 buried in the back. You know, I mean, where's the rest in the mass grave? Where are the rest? You know.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's a shameful history.
And I think it was Elias Castillo's book where he said they separated the men from the women so they wouldn't hear the screams and so forth.
Yes, they separated the men from the women from the children. But a big reason for that is because they were trying to get them to accept Catholicism and to accept becoming citizens of Spain. And if they could convert to both of those, then they can get their families back together. So there was a lot of pressure on them, a forced conversion, to bring the only way they can come back with their families if they accepted that conversion. And so many of our ancestors refused to accept that conversion, and they were killed. And that's what the Doctrine of Discovery says. The Doctrine of Discovery was issued by Pope I forget the Pope's name, in 1453, and it says the indigenous people in these newly discovered lands were to accept conversion or they were to be killed.
And that's one of the reasons your tribe is not recognized, because they killed so many, and a lot of the California tribes, right? Because they killed so many people, they said, oh, they're gone.
Yeah, right? Yeah, there are no Indians here. I mean, that Kroeber, in his Handbook of California Tribes that was published in 1928, it says that there are no Ohlone, that are an extinct tribe. And so because of that, the federal government didn't think that recognition was needed. They still believe that. Although we did sign a treaty in 1851 that would have allowed us to be had us be a federally recognized tribe today. But the state of California sabotaged that treaty. After that treaty were negotiated and signed by the tribes and signed by the commissioners, it was sent back to Washington, D.C. to be ratified. But the state of California, they did not want those treaties. They did not want reservations. They wanted extermination. And so what they did is they passed a resolution asking the Senate, the U.S. Senate, and the governor and the president to not ratify the treaties. And with that resolution, they sent a lobbying effort delegation back, and they lobbied, and that's when the president ordered that our treaties not be ratified and be sealed for 50 years. But it was the state of California that sabotaged the Indian treaties.
Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what should be in the history books.
Absolutely. No, we're fighting for that now. Mm-hmm.
That's good. Okay, so and there was another project you're working on. Can you tell me about that?
Well, what I'd like to talk about is Governor Newsom, more than a year ago, issued an apology to the California Indians. And then he called for a Truth and Healing Council.
Wait, what was that supposed to do? Or was it supposed, it's just...
Well, that council has been established, but I want to give a little background to that first, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
Well, so we established so we started holding wellness meetings more than 12 years ago. And those right there, I firmly believe that's the most important thing our tribe has ever done. We talk about historic trauma. We talk about our culture, our spirituality. We can have 110 to 130 members attend our wellness meetings. And then we started dealing with other issues that are the result of historic trauma. And that could be, that includes addiction, suicide, violence, incarceration, and on that. And stuff. So we wrote a letter to the governor and told him, that we do not accept apologies. But the Truth and Healing Council, it has to be something where they have to actually deal with the past. They cannot just say, let's find a path forward. Mm-hmm. There is no path forward without recognizing that brutal history from the past and recovering from that. And and I say that the perpetrators need a lot more healing than the indigenous people as well.
Some education too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And so healing includes, from our what we've learned with our wellness centers, our wellness meetings rather, are telling the truth. That's just a basic learning and telling the truth about our history, about our people, our culture, our spirituality.
Is it all Native people?
Yes, it's only for tribal members.
On the council?
Yeah, on our wellness meeting. Now, yes.
No, this thing.
Yeah, well,
Truth and Healing.
the governor, along with his apology, he called for a Truth and Healing Council.
Right. And I'm saying, is that Native people?
That's all Native people.
All Native
yes.
From California.
Yes. Yeah, and they represent all districts, and they have a number of unrecognized tribal members there as well. Interestingly, I asked to be a member of that council, and my name wasn't selected. And
too controversial, huh?
Well, as I say, they know what kind of truth and healing they want, and the truth and healing that I recommend or propose, they're not interested in that, obviously. Yeah, no, they kind of just want to find let's just forgive and forget and go forward in a good way, And as I say, that's not possible.
It's too easy.
Yeah, there's no accountability there, and there's no justice.
Right.
And et cetera. Whenever in 2015, when the Pope apologized to the indigenous people of the Americas, I wrote him a letter, and I told him, we do not accept your apology. I says, well, I grew up Catholic, unfortunately, and I learned that, according to the teachings of the church, to be forgiven for your sins, you have to confess your sins, you have to do penance, and then you have to atone for your sins. If I was to walk into a confessional booth as a child and say, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that would never work, And so, why should the church expect anything? Why should the Pope expect anything different? He wants to just give an apology and say, things are good now. So, at Truth and Healing, we're keeping an eye on it, but in all honesty, we don't have a lot of hope or faith that it's going to do the work it's supposed to do. Yeah.
Sure. That's too bad. So we want you to keep us posted on all these different projects so the community can support you on this, because I know with the mission bells, and then the land down in South Santa Clara County. I'm sure people want to be involved in that.
Thank you. We need their
all of
support.
that. So we'll be putting the contact information on the screen so people will know about it, and hopefully people will support it. I don't know if you noticed my beautiful earrings. Did you?
I've been watching. I've been noticing them. Yes, I have.
They're gorgeous. They were made by Kathy Peltier, and she is Leonard Peltier's daughter, and we all know who Leonard Peltier is. She said she's going to have the opportunity to visit him, and it's been an awfully long time. I know it's been many, many years since she's even been able to visit with him, and I'm hoping it happens. And she was selling earrings and other jewelry her and her mother were making to raise some funds to help with her trip. She's on Facebook, and she posts a lot of the jewelry she makes, and I know she made some for missing and murdered Indigenous women with a hand on it, and I have some of those, but she just makes beautiful jewelry.
Absolutely.
And definitely want to support her. But thank you all for joining us. We'll keep in touch with Val and find out where he's at, what we can do to help. And see you next time on Native Voice TV.